I personally like Alex because he can explain complex topics in a way that everyone can understand. And when you listen to him, you simply know that it all makes sense. I spend a lot of time watching his videos and studying his businesses to understand the underlying principles they follow. So now I have a list of evergreen business lessons from Alex Hormozi. Rules and reminders that can guide our actions in every business. If you are new, my name is Michal and we scaled our Amazon FBA business to 8 figures. And now I make videos to show you how we did that. So let's dive in. So there are 6 key lessons I'm going to talk about today. And I will also provide my explanation how I understand it, how I see it, and how we followed the same principles in our business. So we will start with one of my favorite lessons: simple scales, fancy fails. In our business, we say that simplicity leads to efficiency, and that efficiency allows consistency, and that consistency leads to scale, which essentially means the same: simple scales. We as entrepreneurs tend to overcomplicate things, and I would say that strategy is never too simple. Most people have the exact opposite problem, right? The problem is execution and volume. And when you look at successful businesses, you may think that there has to be something I don't know, some secret, some tactic I don't know about, because it can't be as simple as that, right? But let me tell you about the strategy that got our Amazon FBA business to 8 figures. And it is really as simple as that. We were launching products, optimizing listings, and expanding to new marketplaces. And there is nothing else to it. No secret tactic, no secret strategy. We just follow these 3 steps. And it is really as simple as that. We do not have to add any complexity on top of it. Because really, complexity comes with volume. We will have to deal with complexity even if we keep things simple. Because even though we followed these 3 steps, we had 5 new products in the development pipeline. That's a lot of moving pieces. We had 10 product launches scheduled in 5 marketplaces. That's 50 product launches you have to manage. And we were monitoring and optimizing around 40 SKUs in 5 marketplaces. That's over 200 datasets that you have to monitor and optimize. And now imagine if you would add external traffic, influencer marketing, social media content to the mix. It would be so complicated. Because if we talk about this, why the complexity comes with volume, I like to say that it's similar to juggling. We are adding more balls and the complexity will increase exponentially with each ball, and we do not have to change the strategy, right? So if it seems too simple, it is, but if you try to do it at a high volume, it becomes really complex. And most people, instead of adding more balls, following the same strategy, just increasing the volume, they are adding complexity, right? So in our example, it would be juggling on a unicycle and then trying to balance on a rope, because they are trying to make their businesses fancy. They are trying all of these tactics. They are not launching products. They don't have optimized listings, yet they try influencer marketing. They try to drive external traffic. They try to learn Facebook ads, Pinterest ads, but they have not mastered the basics. So the lesson is clear: simple scales, fancy fails. And the second lesson is that entrepreneur wants new while the business needs better. And this really goes hand in hand with the previous lesson. Because for us, for entrepreneurs, the new is always exciting because there is a promise that it may be the one secret we were missing, right? Maybe if I'll learn external traffic, that will skyrocket my business because it's something I have not tried yet. So there is the potential that it will completely change my business. But the truth is that better is what makes all the difference. Better products, better branding, and better internal processes. If you will have better products than everyone else, you will win. If you will have better branding than everyone else, you will win. And if you will have better forecasting, you will manage your stock better. If you will have better customer service, your reviews will be better. And if you will have better PPC management, you'll be able to rank your products more efficiently. So why would you try something new like Facebook ads if you can optimize and improve your Amazon advertising? Why would you try influencer marketing if your branding is not on point? For example, in our business, we didn't add anything new over the years. The strategy was always the same. We just made things better. We improved our inventory forecasting year after year. We made our seasonality curves more accurate, so we stayed in stock even during high seasons. So we outranked our competitors. We improved our customer service, and we improved our PPC management on Amazon. That allowed us to decrease our ACoS and spend more on ads on Amazon. And obviously we spend a lot of time making our products better, making the whole customer experience better. So we have not really tried anything exciting over the years. So our strategy was to stick to basics and master those. So entrepreneur wants new, but the business needs better. The next lesson is MicroSpeed Macro patience. And it essentially means that we should understand that our business runs a marathon while we run sprints. And if you haven't watched my video about planning, this is essentially the structure. So if we talk about daily plans and weekly plans, we should really prioritize speed so we can move quickly through the steps and through the milestones. But when we look at the big picture, we need to be patient with our ultimate goal and with our yearly plan. And I've made this mistake many times before. While even our rapid growth, when we were essentially doubling our business every year, felt really slow. Because I always looked at the yearly plan and the yearly goal. And pretty much every single day I was just looking at the big strategic projects. And I was quite frustrated that we are not making the progress quickly enough, even though we were taking the steps. Because I was not patient for the big picture, so I got frustrated. So the key really to have the sense of progress and also the satisfaction is to prioritize speed in the short term, but also have patience in the long term. And I also like this perspective when we look at our business and see it as a separate entity that is running the marathon. The business is the vehicle that is getting us to the ultimate goal, but we as entrepreneurs are running sprints, 60-day, 90-day sprints, where we try to achieve these specific milestones. And this perspective is way more satisfying because we are making rapid progress and we know that we are on the right path. So MicroSpeed Macro patience. The next lesson is replicate before you iterate. And once again, this goes back to the lesson number 1 and lesson number 2, because most people, especially beginners, they think that it can't be that simple. So let me make it better. Let's say they buy a course and now they want to start on Amazon, but they really think like it can't be as simple as that. So they think, let me figure out something better. But if you are starting, you should follow every single step as it is, because you are simply not able to identify what matters and what doesn't. And even if you are advanced and you are trying some new tactic, you should really replicate before you iterate. So maybe you will find an entrepreneur that is ahead of you, someone who inspires you, and they have a tactic you want to test. You should simply replicate their tactics. Do every single step they do, and then you can evaluate and iterate if necessary. Because only once we fully understand the process, we can then iterate. And I don't know if it's just me, but when I learn a new tactic, I really tend to put my own spin to that. And that's usually not good, especially if you are a beginner in that area. So replicate before you iterate. The next lesson is done is better than perfect, because perfect is never done. And I should personally get this tattooed because I really struggle with this. And I would say that this is a trap for a lot of entrepreneurs, for all perfectionists. And once again, you can see that these lessons really go hand in hand. And I believe that the key here is the ability to recognize the MVP, the minimum viable product, the minimum viable process, something that is good enough. Because if we take a look at the core processes of any Amazon business, we have our product development, supply, inventory management, operations, marketing, customer service. We need all the pieces in order to make this business model work. But you can't really make all of these 10 out of 10. Right? If we take a look at marketing, PPC management on Amazon is such a complex topic that you could do this full time. You could do nothing else than PPC, and then maybe you could become an expert. But obviously you have to also develop products. You have to manage your logistics. You have to forecast your inventory. You have to split test, set up pricing, and all of these operations on Amazon. So it is unlikely that you would be able to get 10 out of 10 on every single process. So how do you find the balance where good enough is good enough? Because the way I see it, you cannot really achieve 10 out of 10, which means that done is better than perfect, because the perfect is never done. It means that we are constantly striving to make it better, but we have to find the balance. And I believe that this is also the reason why a lot of beginners get stuck, because they want to make it perfect. They never get out of the product development stage. They try to get to 10 out of 10 before they take the next step. So we have to accept that things won't be perfect. And we also have to understand that things don't have to be perfect in order to get the desired results. Just looking back, I would say that 80 or more % of our business was pretty average. There was a huge room for improvement in marketing, in operations, even in supply, and I had the ability to make it better. But the key was that it was not the best way to spend my time. I was focused on developing great products. So it is all about balance, to know where we should strive for perfection and where good enough is truly good enough. And I would say it's hard for most people to leave things, let's say 6 or 7 out of 10, and just move on to the next in order to have all the pieces. So done is better than perfect, because perfect is never done. And the last lesson, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. And this is probably the most important lesson to remember, because without this one, none of the previous ones actually matter. And how I understand this is that we likely already know what we should be doing. We simply need a set of rules we can always go back to. I personally have these 6 lessons I can always go back to because I simply know that these lessons are true. And I can always use them to guide my actions. Because constantly seeking new information is not helpful. If you don't apply what you learn, you are essentially wasting your time. And I tend to do this as well. Listen to more podcasts, read more books, rather than actually taking actions and getting better at the things I already do. So I highly recommend you to write down your own rules that resonate with you. It may be the same as these, but you'll probably have a different set of rules. The key here is to remind yourself, ideally every single day or every time you start a new project or a new business. So I used to have a notice board where I put all of these lessons, so every time I was working, I could just look at those and remind myself that this is something that should guide my actions. If you also like Alex Hormozi and you want to see how you can use his frameworks as an Amazon seller, make sure to check out this video linked here. See you next week. Bye.